Today, we are here talking about one of the biggest questions that teachers, especially new teachers, have, and that is how do I have strong classroom management? First of all, welcome to EdFamily, whether you're a teacher, administrator, counselor, parent, or any person who wants to see our students win, then you're a part of the education family or our Ed family. My hope in each of these episodes is that you will find something that resonates with you, whatever role you're in, and provide some ideas for you on what your personal next step might be. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Jeff Kim, National Board Certified Teacher. I work in a middle and high school district, serve as an instructional coach, and as adjunct faculty for pre and in-service teachers at the university. And this is a question I get a lot, and there's a lot of things actually to talk about, so I'll probably need to break it up into several bite-sized pieces and episodes. But for today, I'm going to share just one tip, one that requires very little preparation and that you can start using on day one. It's catching kids doing the right thing. How many of you were thinking I was going to say catching kids doing the wrong thing? I think a lot of people think classroom management is catching kids doing the wrong thing. And I'm not saying that there should be no accountability, but if this is the only tool in the toolbox, then what's probably going to happen is either you're going to have a very quiet classroom at best, and some people might even call this great classroom management despite the fact that students are nervous about participating, or at worst, this approach becomes kind of a whack-a-mole of a struggle where the teacher moves constantly from one problem section to the next, and it doesn't have to be like that. How about if we caught students doing the right thing? Most of the time, the majority of the kids are doing the right thing. But are they affirmed for that? I'm going to read some of these sentence starters because I think they're helpful for building language that is positive, safe, and affirming. And that's what you want in a classroom. Here we go. I'm glad that you. I admire you for. I like how you. Thank you for. I can tell you are trying really hard at. I like the way that you're really good at. Way to go for. So let me give you like a scenario. There's a student who, let's say, started on his work, but then there are a couple of students around that student who appear off task. Familiar? What might often happen is this. Well, sometimes the teacher approaches the student who is off task, right? Asking them to get started. What if for a moment, I mean, you see them, right? But what if for a moment you pretend not to notice and instead put your focus on the student who is on task? Let's say Johnny is on task and say, hey, Johnny, like way to get started. And then as you look a little bit more closely at the work, oh, wow, it's so great to see how many ideas you have. You're really a great thinker. What happens afterwards? Well, first of all, Johnny feels good. He was publicly affirmed because everyone around can hear, right? Even though it was a private conversation. And oftentimes, what will happen to the folks off task? Well, they're starting to move to on-task behavior. And you know what that gives me? I think you're starting to get it. More chances to catch students than doing the right thing. And in this way, I think students feel noticed, honored, and cared for. So as a teacher, hopefully I can model this kind of affirmation. First, myself. But over time, do you know what the funny thing is? Affirmation is contagious. Students start becoming more affirming of one another when they see me modeling it. And let me give you another example on a project. I wanted students to have a credits page to affirm one another and their contribution. Now, a part of this was a little psychological on my end. I know that middle and high school age students, which group has the greatest influence on them? I'd like to think it's me, their teacher, but probably not. And oftentimes it's their peers. So I thought, why not give them some space to affirm one another? And when I did that, the dialogue was rich and awesome. And I did that for the next module, and it was awesome again. And by the third module, I didn't even have to ask them for a credits page. They started just creating it on their own without even asking me. Now, scholars would call this a new cultural model. Maybe they didn't do it before, but now it became their new way of being. So when was the last time someone personally affirmed you? When was the last time someone personally affirmed you publicly? Even though you've graduated from schools, have all kinds of experience, and you're not an insecure middle schooler, it still felt good to receive that affirmation, right? For some of you, maybe it hasn't been in a while. You haven't received an affirmation in a while, so let me thank you for your service and leadership, for taking the time to grow in your compassion and practice. I'm calling this classroom management, but it's not really classroom management. It's really more like creating a community, a positive culture, a positive learning environment. You could almost say creating a family. Now, if there's something I shared that was helpful for you, please be sure to like and subscribe. If it benefited you, maybe it would benefit someone else. I'm planning on creating weekly episodes. Also, if there's something that you do that is working in your classroom, please be sure to add that in the comments so it can be helpful for others. By the way, I think this is obvious, but I'm sharing some of my personal stories in the event that it may be helpful for those listening and thinking about their own personal next steps. This is not legal advice. And although I am very blessed and constantly inspired by the people I work with, I may indeed find inspiration in my work, but this channel is not an official voice for any organization. Once again, thank you for being a part of our Ed family, helping kids to find out what they're good at and then to do good with it. This is Dr. Jeff, signing out until next time.